Katie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a let's talk about it video, and we're going to talk about Wednesday fan theories. So, if you've been living under a rock, Wednesday is a show that came out on Netflix, and it's about Wednesday Addams. Really good show, love it, one of my favorite shows. And we're just going to be talking about some fan theories about the show that fans have come up with, and stuff like that. The best, I'm gonna say this wrong, lichenologist that Enid went to see. As we saw in the first episode of Wednesday, Enid was a late bloomer as a werewolf. Her parents forced her to see specialists and tried to make her go to conversion therapy camp for werewolves. Well, mainly her mom. Anyway, she said that she went to see the best lichenologist and that she had to fly to Milwaukee. The best lichenologist is absolutely in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, a rural town about 40 miles from Milwaukee, near Lake Geneva. This town is notable for being the first and most common sightings of the Beast of Bray Road, a cryptid also known as the Wisconsin werewolf. It is probably the most notable werewolf cryptid in America, so this is undoubtedly where Enid went. Source: my wife was born and raised in Elkhorn and has had to learn all about it because of people visiting the town to find this beast. I've been on the titular Bray Road many times. So when we heard Enid say that she had to fly to Milwaukee, we both knew what the show was insinuating, and we laughed our asses off. Despite this, we thought was a pretty clever Easter egg for anyone who might know about some cryptids. It's actually pretty cool. I've never heard about that before. I live in Michigan, so it's like right next to Wisconsin. It will be a reoccurring motive that Wednesday and Enid will hug once per season. Netflix Wednesday has proven to be a surprise success, breaking all kinds of streaming records and granting a comeback to Tim Burton. It's been confirmed that the show will be receiving a second season, and it is highly possible that the series will go on for more than that, depending on what Tim and Netflix has planned for the series. There has been quite a bit of speculation about what will happen in Season 2 and beyond. However, I have an idea about a reoccurring motive that might happen. Wednesday is not a huge fan of displays of affection. This is clearly demonstrated in the first episode, where Enid tries to hug Wednesday, but she pulls back, causing Enid to realize that Wednesday isn't a hugger. This carried on in the finale, where Enid once again attempts to hug Wednesday, but decides not hugging is her thing. However, after Wednesday's brush with the villains, Enid is so overcome with joy that her best friend is alright that she runs to Wednesday and hugs her. At first, Wednesday is shocked, but returns the embrace. I have a theory that the writers will implement a rule in regards to Wednesday and Enid hugging. It will be a rule that they can only hug once per season and only at the emotional climax of the season. Makes sense. It really does, but I think the whole not hugging thing is just going to become non-existent because I think Wednesday is opening up to Enid more, and she's learning how to like be a friend, especially to someone like Enid who's very much into hugging and physical displays of affection. And you know, she respects Enid because Enid respected her boundaries. I think where this theory might be very cute, I do think that we've already kind of seen Wednesday opening up to Enid, and the hugging thing might not be such a big deal anymore. Tyler never loved Wednesday, and Xavier is addicted to her. That's why the love triangle doesn't exist. Tyler was controlled to pursue Wednesday by his master. He never liked her, and apparently is really good at pretending as it fooled Wednesday Addams. For Xavier, he likes Wednesday because he has visions of her, and in his mind, she likes him when in reality she doesn't like him. And even with how it ends and what happens, Xavier still likes Wednesday, so I think he'll be a villain next season. yes and no. I don't know, because I hate to think that, like, Tyler didn't like Wednesday. I know that he was, like, controlled and all that jazz, but I don't know. But Xavier, I feel like he's not really obsessed with her. He just likes her. And, you know, Wednesday has kind of, like, teased him a little bit. So, I mean, I feel bad for the kid. I mean, he likes someone who keeps, like, throwing him a bone and then, like, ripping it back. And, you know, there is a love triangle there. But, I don't know. I do think Xavier's gonna have something to do with being a villain, because the phone that he gave Wednesday, I mean, some random evil villain suddenly has her number, and his number was the only one programmed in there, so where did this person get that number, if not from Xavier? It's a little odd to me. I also worry because there were those rumors that Percy, who plays Xavier, is not coming back to Wednesday. So I'm afraid that if he doesn't come back, that they'll just... I know they're supposed to replace Xavier with someone else that looks completely different from him, which I don't know how they're going to do that. But I have a feeling they'll just write Xavier out of it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if Percy's even Xavier in the next season. I hope he is. I know that, like, there's been, like, allegations against him and stuff, but, like, I can't see anyone else being Xavier. Crackstone will return in season 2. I think Crackstone was killed too easily, suspiciously so. In truth, I don't think he's actually dead. I think that he will be the overarching antagonist of the series, similar to Voldemort in Harry Potter or Count Olaf in A Series of Unfortunate Events, both of whom seemed to be defeated after the first book of the respective series, but ended up coming back with a vengeance. I think Crackstone will be no different. I also had that thought, like, he was killed way too easily. Like, if he had all this power and he was blah 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 and he's so awesome, and then he was killed that easily, something just didn't seem right about that. Like, I don't know. I agree. I think he will return for season 2. Loose ends tied up. A connection between Tyler and Xavier. Says neither Xavier nor Tyler have current contact with their mom. Tyler because she's dead, ? And Xavier, we don't know, only his father is ever mentioned, and how much like Tyler and his dad, they don't talk much. We know about her, that her being a Hyde wasn't a problem until her pregnancy. We're talking about Tyler's mom. And that then apparently she was transferred to Willowville Psychiatric Hospital, where her son is being brought to by the end of the season. Update, we don't know how old the boys are. Also, since Tyler is a high school dropout, but there is the chance of a 9-month to 1 year gap between them for sure. Then it says, edit, I found out recently he's actually a high school dropout. That still leaves some room for his actual age by the time of the show. Wednesday points this out. They have an obscure psychic connection, and the reason for this was, as far as I could tell, never cleared up. I don't think Xavier's powers are triggered only if something really bad is about to happen. And also, during Tyler's last murder, he saw directly through his eyes. Watching this verse, I sometimes struggle to remember who Wednesday talked to last. Both their looks and clothing styles are very close to each other. They're even about the same height. Xavier is in therapy because of his visions. We learn that his father sends him, maybe to make sure he knows how to cope with mental stress early. Speaking of his father, he is a psychic, given that he told him about the nature of visions, but who or what is his mother? Meanwhile, having visions sounds like a pretty daring ability, one that would surely require mental health help in a place that specializes in outcasts, Willow Hill. If Tyler's dad and Xavier's dad met anywhere, this place makes the most sense. I don't think he was a high security patient, though. Maybe they tried to help her with more interactive therapies and meeting other patients on her good days. We know that Hydes can be very peaceful, and there are ways to control them. At least Willow Hill seems to have its ways when untransformed. This is like, okay, this one is going back and forth here, and it's kind of confusing me, so bear with me here. The last, like, bullet point. Oh my god, the claw in the cloth with Xavier's blood. We never learned the DNA results, not only because the claw had a connection to Chief Galpin's DNA, but also they implicated the same mother. I don't remember that part. I remember, like, the claw on the shirt and stuff. I don't remember them implicating to the same mother. Oh, I totally messed that up. Before, when I said if Tyler's dad and Xavier's dad, if Tyler's mom and Xavier's dad. Okay, so it says here, so here's the timeline I see. Tyler's mom becomes pregnant. This triggers her Hyde abilities, and she is institutionalized. She later gives birth to a son, Tyler, who is taken away by her husband to be raised far away from her. She's distraught, but this is not the reason she died. Xavier's father, maybe they knew each other from Nevermore already, comes to Willow Hill as a patient, or maybe he used to work as a therapist there before changing professions. They bond. Maybe this was part of attempting to help her or to research on her condition. Anyway, they fall in love. She gets pregnant, which makes everything worse once more. She gives birth, and her second son is taken away too. It would later turn out he had his father's abilities, not her, although can a child have only one? What does she do? Rebel so badly against Willow Hill after both her children have been taken away that they have no chance but to kill her, or does she escape? Both the fathers of her children begin avoiding Ladder because the memory of the woman that they both did love very much and who was likely a really lovely person outside of her Hyde personality is too painful. Okay, wow. This continues, though. It is not over yet. It says, edit. She could be the key to leading Wednesday onto this path. I had the weirdest thought, but it makes sense with her possible canine abilities. We're talking about Enid. We know she's kind of strong and can spurt claws, but how is her ability to smell? Canines have very precise senses when it comes to this. So far, she hasn't spent much time with Xavier, and technically only one brief fight with Tyler, but what if she eventually notices something? I know it sounds odd, but what if this is exactly what happens? She starts spending more time with their new clique by the new school year and memorizes Xavier's scent. However, either through dreams of their fight or maybe accompanying Wednesday to visit Tyler at Willow Hill at some point, or maybe by interacting with Chief Galpin, she starts to realize the connections. This leads to them uncovering the original DNA test and finding out the truth. I don't know what they'll do with this information, though. Whew. Okay. Let me just marinate with that for a second. That was a lot of information. It's very possible that Xavier and Tyler are related. I had that thought too. How? I don't really know. This theory is a lot. It's still rolling over in my brain here. I mean, this theory is very possible. So since I can't wrap my brain around that one, we're just gonna move on. Where are the Hydes? Okay, so step 1. Aftermath of their banishment from Nevermore. In my opinion, after being banned from the school, they were more or less left to their own devices. They could attend regular school as long as, like, Francois, I guess is Tyler's mom's name, and Tyler, their Hyde would be properly concealed, but I think Willow Hill was already set and ready for those who did, well, hide out. Pretty sure that's going to be the term it kind of offers itself. Step 2, Willow Hill. The ones who hide it out? were brought to the institution for research and also maybe to find a purpose for them. I still think the show will include a used as living weapons subplot. In the best case, the ones who could be trained were turned into guards for the next scoop of hides. They had a few freedoms then, but could never fully leave the hospital and its grounds. They were prisoners no matter what progress they made, and not treated as people until reaching the guard status, maybe. Step 3. Francois. She was a lovely woman, this we're told. The only thing that triggered her hide was her pregnancy, in my opinion, intense worry for the future of her child. But nobody cared. She was treated like a monster, or when staying concealed, like a better prisoner. To me, not only did it hurt to have this done to her, but also to all other hides around her. And so she forged a plan. Maybe it wasn't even a full one. In my opinion, she escaped at a lucky chance, like a hospital fire, thought dead, drowned, thought dead, burned. You get the idea, it's a callback. They couldn't find her, and admitting to their failure to keep a single hide in check would have damaged Willow Hill's reputation. Call back to Nevermore's politics too, so they presented a burned body, maybe an already deceased or killed patient, maybe a nurse she had to fight off on her way. And here's where we get to the hero's journey. She had escaped, but she couldn't abandon her people. She wasn't not going to share her freedom or leave them to Willow Hill's claws. So she began visiting old friends from Nevermore, classmates, etc., who hadn't hided out in their families, and took them under her wing. She began gathering them in an abandoned place, maybe an abandoned tunnel system like in US, and then began traveling the country looking for more, approaching and taking them before Willow Hill could. They didn't know who was doing this, but they had a suspicion. Now you may ask, why did she never come from Tyler? Easiest answer, the hospital told her he died at birth. Maybe they thought she would try to escape at all costs if they had told her he had been given to his dad, and they could be a real family. We know she could be entirely harmless, but why would they ever let her go? Chances are, too, it's part of a bigger plot where they also cut Chief Galpin's visitation rights, telling her he had filed a divorce, which we know was not true. He was heartbroken not being with her. Maybe they even told him the same as her, only that his wife had died in childbirth, not their son. Says, oh, the drama, I love it. Plus, imagine them coming face to face, having thought the other dead for a long time. And then the events of Wednesday. Step 4. Willow Hill versus Francois. I think she does have a plan to eventually attack the hospital and free her people. Not in a wild rampage, but a detailed, low-casualty SWAT. She has to think about the future of her people. But now they have Tyler, her child, that we know of. I still think there's some room to have another not long after. Well, maybe she was recovering mentally and physically from the hospital, and with another Nevermore friend, not out of the woods, right? Chances are also they were keeping tabs on him, but maybe statistically, hides past a certain age are less likely to lose it. Chances are the mask said at some point he was too old, was the son of a woman who hadn't hided out until being with child, and also wasn't going to get pregnant. Also, maybe there is a way to determine early on the chances of someone breaking loose. They must have done science at Willow Hill and more places to protect the public. And honestly, Tyler probably could have spent his entire life with no idea what he was if Laurel hadn't showed up. Chances are also Jericho got buried under all the other cases of hides they had to investigate. Plus a little dark, but any victim of one proved them right that they had to be locked away and stay there. Plus showed how well they carried out kill missions and effectively executed them. No pun intended again, this is the living weapon conspiracy again. Ooh. Anyway, that's for the next seasons to explain. Anyway, they can use him or her theoretically. This is where Wednesday and her friends could come in to bust him out, but it's a long way to get there. So that's my take on the whole Hyde situation. Also, I think she called the secret place she took her people to the hideout. So, my thought is, first of all, I don't think Wednesday and her friends are gonna go bust Tyler out. I really don't think so. I think they've washed their hands of Tyler, and they're not gonna go break him out. But who knows? Francois making an army of hides. I mean, it's an interesting theory. One that I think would take the plot of the show really well, but I also think that maybe we're just done with hides on the show for now. Maybe, there's going to be a different kind of cryptid villain in there somewhere. I don't know. Theory I have about Tyler and the Gates family. So here's my crazy theory about Tyler and a possible connection to the Gates family. Here's my theory. Garrett Gates is alive and will return as the big bad of Season 2. I think Season 2 might be a redemption arc for Tyler or a villain's journey for him. Either way, I think there's going to be a twist where it comes out that his dad's not really his dad. I think Wednesday's storyline will mirror her mother's past almost exactly in some respects, and I think the Gates family is far from completely gone. This is kind of how I see Season 2 going. The school gets a new headmaster, and he turns out to be a little bit odd, but is unassuming, much like Laurel. And Wednesday, trying not to make the same mistakes as last year, will try to trust more people, which will backfire miserably. I can see something happening where, for whatever reason, Wednesday has to visit Tyler in a psych ward and discovers the new headmaster is the doctor treating him, but will get "I'm trying to help him" as an excuse. With the twist being Wednesday learning Tyler was conceived via non-traditional methods while looking through his medical records or something, and honestly, I don't have a complete plot worked out, but I'm thinking it could come out Tyler's parents went to a sperm bank or something, and their new headmaster could be revealed as the doctor who did the procedure. Then for her to seek out Thornhill and inquire any more information she might know about Tyler, but be surprised when she realizes Thornhill is just as in the dark as Wednesday is about Tyler's parentage. For added twist, it could be revealed Tyler has multiple species in his DNA besides the hide he was born with, and for Tyler to end up enrolled in Nevermore with Headmaster justifying it as he wasn't acting of his own free will and everyone deserves a second chance. This way the sheriff can be more involved, showing up to take Tyler to and from Nevermore to provide a safer environment for the students. Ultimately, I can see it being revealed that Garrett Gates is the headmaster, but unlike his sister, doesn't want to kill non-humans, and is revealed to want to become something non-human and be revealed as tipping more towards mad scientists. I can also see Tyler's arc being about him struggling between nature versus nurture, and having a defining moment where he's forced to choose between his two dads. I also like the idea of Garrett claiming he has no desire to control Tyler and simply wants him to become the best monster he can be, or ideally it ends with Tyler saving the dad who raised him. The reason I like the idea of Garrett coming back is because, well, I think there's more to the story about what happened. I mean, there was supposedly a love triangle between him and Morticia and Gomez, but it's not really elaborated on that much. I also think Garrett being a mad scientist creating new species that appear in the second season would make a good mystery for Wednesday. That is honestly a pretty good theory. I wasn't on board with it at first. I wasn't. But now I am. It's an interesting theory. I don't know. Was Weems the villain all along? Okay, so basically I have been thinking and have my suspicions of Weems being another villain of Wednesday. Now, first off, I also think that she actually is Wednesday's stalker, and she staged her death to avoid suspicions. That leads us to a question, but how could she stage her death? Laurel stabbed her. This leads us to an answer, which is Laurel and Weems worked together all along. Weems was never too sweet to begin with. You could see her sweet smile suspiciously fading in some scenes. She also said, "I'm watching you" to Wednesday in first episode, and really, she literally stalked her. Also, if she was on her side, why did she fake herself as Rowan? Didn't this just bring Wednesday more trouble? There's another question. If she worked with Laurel, why would Weems want to destroy the outcast world? Truth is, she did not. Quite the opposite. She wanted to kill the normies since they were so against them. That is why the hide, her, and Laurel, oh my god, triggered in Tyler, that's why the hide, her, and Laurel triggered in Tyler only ever killed normies. If we don't count Rowan, but it was Tyler who killed him, and Laurel couldn't order him not to because she wasn't around. There may be another question. The stalker sent Wednesday a gif of her dying. Why would Weems want her to die? Admit it, Weems never really liked Wednesday. Wednesday pretty much annoyed her and went against all her wishes and plans. It's also obvious she never liked Morticia also, because she did burn her picture, and when there's flashbacks of Gomez killing the normie that was obsessed with Morticia, Weems told the police that she only saw Gomez, but they were fighting for Morticia, so it was her fault. You could sense jealousy in her voice. Another question. How come Laurel and Weems worked together if one wanted to destroy the normie's world and other the outcasts? Simple. Laurel backstabbed her. Also another fact. When she was announcing the winners of the Poe Cup, her smile obviously fell when she said black cats. Another fact that she was so against Wednesday. I don't know, I feel conflicted about that one. I do. I feel conflicted. But we know why Weems acted as Rowan, because they didn't want people to know that there was a monster, an outcast, killing people. So, yeah. Tyler ain't quite as evil as we think. Okay, I'm gonna start off by saying this. I'm not making this post as a shipper or anything. Personally, I prefer if Wednesday doesn't get a love interest if the show continues. This is just my thoughts, theories on Tyler. Alright, so my theory is this. I think that in the show, we never saw the real Tyler. Even more, the Tyler we see in the last episode is different from who we see in the first. So we know from a scene in the first episode that the murder started a week before the beginning of the series. And there were only 2. Which means that Laurel hasn't been using Tyler to kill for very long, and he hasn't been fully changing for very long. The scene where he interacts with the 3 guys in the coffee shop in the first episode also makes it seem like his change after his boot camp has been a thing for a while, so that's most likely genuine. There's also the note about Tyler's counseling sessions that we get to hear part of in episode 8 that talk about Tyler changing when his mother is brought up, which is a clear reference to him being a Hyde, but I think it's more. I think it's also a hint to the true nature of Hydes, that they corrupt/poison their psyche. I think that when Tyler uses the Hyde, his personality and consciousness are slowly rotted and replaced with characteristics of the Hyde. So as Tyler transforms more and more through Laurel's training and missions, his real personality is slipping away and he's becoming more like the monster he transforms into. Another hint, I think, is when he talks about how he used to wake up covered in blood, not remembering anything, but how that slowly went away and he was able to remember what happened. That's not just him getting used to transforming, that's the Hyde taking over, which would be a cool reference to the original book. What original book? He also was legitimately trying to help Wednesday leave in the first episode, which would be very counterproductive to Laurel's plan, which I believe is just the last little bit of the real Tyler trying to do something contrary to what his master would want. So I believe that if Tyler ever comes back to the show, very, very unlikely, he won't be the Tyler we saw throughout the show or the one we saw in the finale, because we never saw the real one. We saw the Hyde pretending to be Tyler, pretending to be someone else. I agree, I feel like we didn't see the real Tyler. I think we saw the Hyde. And yeah, I agree that, like, his personality went away. Yeah, I agree with this theory a lot, to be quite honest. Previous Nightshades. So far, of the previous Nevermore students and Nightshades, we know Morticia, Gomez, Francois, Principal Weems, and all other parents of the Nevermore kids, at least as far as we know. We don't know if everyone made it into the school, though. We know that at least Fester only visited. Anyway, this leads me to 2 things. This one says, A, I'm jumping back to my old theory about Francois and her possible second son. Personally, I think we can be pretty sure that Xavier's father attended Nevermore as well around the same time, and that they knew each other to some degree, whether there was just a friendship or one that years later would become something more, or deeper feelings from the start, or eventually just casual love, we're yet to find out. B. I think we may get some more backstory on the previous group around Morticia and Gomez. From what we know, she at least got along with Weems despite their rivalry, and she knew Francois, though she didn't really want to talk about her, which leaves tons of room for interpretation. And I'm sure they had some bond with other Nightshades too. It would be interesting to hear about their adventures before graduation. I agree. I want to learn more about these Nightshades. I think in some capacity they're going to come back, and they might even be the villains for a season. Whether it's the second season, or the third, or the 10th. Hopefully we get 10. I don't know. In the last theory, what mistake did Bianca do that Xavier couldn't forgive? In episode 2, around 29:30, after Xavier accused her of manipulating him, Bianca responded, I make one mistake and you can't forgive me. After finishing the first season, I still wonder what kind of mistake was that. It sounds like the mermaid is admitting she manipulated the boy using her song, but in episode 4, Bianca got offended when Xavier asked her to use her song to make him forget Wednesday. This time, her words, you broke up with me because you thought I was manipulating you with my siren song, implies she never used it on Xavier, and the breakup was caused by his paranoia. Doesn't that contradict her statement in episode 2? Even considering her powers might influence others accidentally, as she admits later, she doesn't recognize that possibility in front of Xavier in the dance, so what was the single specific mistake she alluded in episode 2? I suspect the mistake was made by this show's writers' poorly written lines, or maybe in the last minute they changed the plot to avoid the dark implications of supernatural seduction powers. P.S. A possible theory. Maybe at some point she used her song over him for a single thing. For example, to make him do something or forget in the same fashion as Willow and Tara on Buffy Vampire Slayer that broke Xavier's trust and made him think she was manipulating all the time. She wasn't. The mistake in the paranoia. I thought that's what it was like. It was like hinting at, is that she used her siren song on Xavier before, and that's why they broke up. I thought that was what that was hinting at. Whether it was on accident or on purpose, maybe it was on accident, and that's why she said that, you thought I was manipulating you, because maybe it was unintentional. But yeah, whew. It's a long video. That is it for Wednesday fan theories. If you have your own, let's talk about them in the comments, because I'm really, interested in what everyone else thinks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.